Welcome to Down to Business with V, a show dedicated to bringing you actionable information to help protect you, your families, your businesses, and the community. I'm your host V, and today we're bringing you AI marketing and the human connection. We've called in a founder and creator of an artificial intelligence platform to talk about what's happening in the realm of AI and to give you tips to stay secure. And as always, we'll share what to do if you're a victim of fraud. Let's get down to business.
From Atlanta, Georgia, to becoming a United States Marine, to Washington, D.C., and every place in between, everybody calls me V. My goal is to bring you resources, education, and knowledge from sources you can trust that informs and protects to safeguard our families, our businesses, and the community. Now let's get down to business.
Welcome to Down to Business with V. I'm your host V, and today we're discussing AI marketing and the human connection. To bring awareness to the subject, we have in the studio with us Don Bosco, founder and CEO of BHuman.AI. BHuman is a platform that allows you to create a digital twin using the groundbreaking power of AI. As a leader in applied AI, Don focuses on solving real-world problems using the latest technology. Don grew up in New York City, attended Bocconi University in Milan, and is currently based in Istanbul, where he manages a team of 30-plus engineers, developers, and cutting-edge PhDs. Outside of his work, Don enjoys painting, hiking, learning languages, and traveling the world. Let's take a look at my interview with Don. Welcome, Don. So, Don, for our audience members that don't know, can you tell us a little bit about what artificial intelligence is and what machine learning is?
Sure thing, yeah. So if you look at how computers work traditionally, it's all about math, right? At the very base level, it's 1 plus 1 equals 2, and then basically building on top of that to perform complex tasks, create websites, browse the internet, things like that. But it's all based on very simple math at the base foundational level, right? Now, what artificial intelligence does is, let's say I showed you a picture of a dog, right? Now, how can the computer be able to say that's a dog? There's no math that can look at a picture and say, okay, that's a dog or that's a cat, right? So what artificial intelligence does is, instead of 1 plus 1 equals 2, it's, here's a picture. What is this? There's no math that can solve this. But if I show you enough pictures of dogs, if I show you 10 million pictures of dogs and 10 million pictures of cats, then AI can distinguish that's a dog, that's a cat. So the interesting things about AI is, nobody actually knows how it works at a base foundational level, right? Nobody knows what the 1 plus 1 equals 2 is, because that's all really hidden by the AI, by the model that's doing the reasoning. So what AI allows us to do is allow a computer to basically process things and make decisions and analyze things that simple math really can't do, right? So looking at a landscape and describing what's in the landscape, or listening to speech and writing down what's in the speech. And really, the use cases are endless. It opens up a whole new world of possibilities.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I love that you said that artificial intelligence actually conceals, in a way, how it learns. So it's a mystery. It's an enigma, a mystery within a mystery, in a sense. And thank you so much for explaining that in terms, layman's terms, where our audience members that might not be as tech savvy, can understand. We certainly do appreciate that. So Don, your company, BHuman, is absolutely groundbreaking in what you're doing. Tell our audience about how you've taken machine learning and AI and created a way for businesses to leverage it in marketing. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, it's a great question. So, initially, before I founded BHuman, I was running sort of like a sales agency. So I was reaching out to a lot of people, try to get them to get into meetings with my clients, right? And, I noticed that people are just so saturated today, and they need a way to communicate that feels really personable and really one-to-one, right? And so really it comes down to one thing, which is the human connection at scale. And so really my journey into AI and into building these models started with, how can I recreate that human connection at scale that is so hard to get, over email, over phone calls, and over text message, right? And really what that led me to is the space of video. And my initial journey was, how can I basically change what someone is saying in a video using AI? So kind of like we talked about before, right? An AI can look at a picture of an animal and say, okay, that's a dog, that's a cat. Well, I wanted to use AI to basically change what someone is saying in a video. So right now you can see I'm talking, my lips are moving. And if I say the word apple, I was asking AI, okay, how can I basically, instead of saying the word apple, say the word pear? Okay. And the way I'm using AI at BHuman is we're basically changing the way my lips are moving to change it for the sound of pear instead of apple. So to give you a practical use case of how we're actually using it on the platform. So let's say you have a video where you're talking to customers at scale. So in that original video, you're actually saying, hey, name, this is Don. I would love to chat with you about your company. But in the video that BHuman produces, at the end of that, you're getting thousands of unique videos which say things like, hey, John, hey, Bill, hey, V, hey, Stacy, and so on and so forth. And you can change basically any words you want in that script to make it personal for the recipient. And at the end of the day, the recipient gets that video. They think that you just filmed it for them. And therefore, the response rate just goes through the roof. So that's the initial journey of how we started to leverage AI in, specifically it's called face cloning.
Yeah, amazing. And Don, I was on the website and toyed around with this, which is how I found you, actually, you and BHuman. The possibilities with the marketing and the personalization is like something I've not seen used this way before. Now, we talk about cloning, artificial intelligence cloning or face cloning, and generally it's associated with deep fakes. In this instance, you've taken the same technology and given us the ability to do something massively good with it. Personalizing and, like you said, marketing at scale, reaching a number of different clients, customers, even consumers, in a way that we would not be able to without an extensive amount of time, resources, editing, what goes into all of that. So, I mean, I think it's absolutely amazing. I looked on the website and I saw a lot of the benefits. Share with us some of the feedback you've gotten from your customer base and your clients about how this engagement has changed their marketing practices or helped their businesses.
Yeah. So, I mean, first off, in terms of the actual results, so we actually track this data across the board. So when it comes to our videos, they convert on average 4x better than text. So whether that's your dealership and you're trying to get people to come in for a test drive, or you're, in marketing, you're trying to have someone book a demo, whatever the case, right? On average, 4x better conversions. And we've seen cases that have just gone wild. So we had someone who got 11 times better conversions. So the results really, they can be as effective as creative your use cases. And, every day I'm so impressed by our users and the really creative ways they come up to use the tech. So when I started BHuman, I had about maybe 10 to 15 use cases in mind, right? So like, okay, I'm in sales, I want to reach out to a bunch of people. Or let's say someone, books a demo with me. I want to send them a video, to thank them for that demo, and so on and so forth. More sales use cases. And then literally every single day that list grows. At this point, we're up to about 70 something use cases. We work across 6 languages. So we have customers all over the world. And it's so inspiring to see how people leverage it. Like, just to give you a couple really creative examples. So the other day I saw a real estate agent in Santiago, Chile, who's using this to give people personalized tours of properties, of houses. So he just records one tour once, and then the whole video is personalized. So the tour is now for Jacob or it's for Mary, right? But of course, he just filmed it once. We've seen governments use this to talk to small businesses at scale. We've seen automotive dealerships use this. We've seen influencers use this to basically talk to their followers at scale. So really, there's just so much you can do. And at any point of the customer journey, from like that first point of contact, if you're reaching out to people for the first time, or just to give you another interesting use case, we had a very large rapper who I can't name use this to basically talk to his audience, who were already his loyal fans, and he wanted to just engage them and excite them so much more for an upcoming event. So there's really so much you can do. And we designed the platform to enable your creativity as much as possible.
I love it. This is one of the best cases I've seen of artificial intelligence cloning and facial cloning, even the voice cloning portion that I have ever seen. This is one of the absolute best cases. It takes the technology and does so much good. Don, like in a landscape, my game is fraud mitigation. That's what I do. That's what I see a lot of. As someone who has a risk-averse mindset, I'm always looking at the risks associated with everything. When I saw this, of course, I saw what we've always seen when it comes to artificial intelligence. But you took it and you did something massively, massively good. And I want to say kudos to you for that. And to our audience, when we come back, we're going to talk more with Don Bosco, the CEO of BHuman, about what he's doing and the other technologies he's developed for this platform. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Down to Business with V. I'm your host, V, and today we're discussing artificial intelligence in marketing. We have with us the CEO of BHuman, Don Bosco. Don, welcome back.
Thanks for being here. Great to be here.
Yes, we had a very insightful and exciting first segment. When I tell you I'm super ecstatic about what we're about to talk about, you have a portion of your company that is dedicated specifically to persona. Tell our audience what persona is and how it functions.
Yeah, so persona is super exciting, and in fact, for me, the most fun thing that I have to work on. So, what persona is it's a digital clone of you, and it's meant to be able to basically represent you in video meetings. So, I first had the idea for persona because I was really tired of taking the same calls over and over again, saying the same things, just having that same repetitive conversation, and spending hours doing that every day, right? And so I knew there had to be a better way using the same underlying technology that we used for our first product, right? Which is basically changing what someone is saying. So what persona does is it's a digital clone of you. It looks like you, it sounds like you, it learns your speech patterns, so it talks like you as well. It uses the same kind of vocabulary you would use. And more importantly, it tries to learn what you know as an individual. So, if you were to ask me, okay, how many employees does BHuman have, right? My persona would be able to answer that because it's been trained on what I know. And essentially how that training process works is I can feed it literally anything. I can put in my website. I can say, okay, go look at my website, BHuman.AI, go learn that. Or I can put in my resume, right? Okay, go look at my resume, go learn that, right? And then, okay, if I put in my resume and it says, okay, where'd you go to, someone asked, where did I go to school? Well, if that's in my resume, I'd be able to answer that in a really natural way. It could also sit on meetings with me. So the actual real me taking meetings, it can learn what I'm saying, how I'm answering questions, and essentially build a knowledge base of me as an individual, and then go and represent me out in the real world to real people. And again, the whole point of this is so I can spend my time doing more creative work rather than answering repetitive questions. So in a nutshell, that's what persona is all about.
I am amazed. Now, Don, our audience was not there when I reviewed the persona portion of BHuman. I was absolutely stunned. I've been telling everybody about what I saw, how lifelike and realistic it wasn't just the imagery, it was the entirety of the artificial intelligence clone. How lifelike and realistic it was. I could not tell that artificial intelligence from a real person. Literally, I was so stunned that you remember during our call, I was literally holding my head because it was absolutely amazing. It seemed to be moving. It seemed to be breathing. It was engaging with me. And when we paused and I didn't respond quick enough, it asked me in German, "Are you still there?" And it was just absolutely mind-blowing. Don, now, some of the things that you talked about, some people might find a little bit scary. It can go to the meetings for you. It can answer as you. And we're going to talk more about that. But let's talk about the lighter side of things and, just how you have implemented a way for in your onboarding process for the scary part to be weeded out. So let's say somebody's concerned about this thing can be used to clone me and it's not actually me. How is your onboarding process prevented unauthorized use of someone's likeness?
Yeah, great question. So there's guardrails at every point in the process. So it's very gated. So for example, I couldn't just take a video of UV and then put you into the platform and make you say anything. The way our platform works is it only accepts input and basically will create this clone if you follow our process. And if you go ahead, and there's a couple of required videos you need to film so we can basically, learn how you look and how you talk. And actually, it's not just, this is something we've implemented that we can switch on and off. Actually, this is required for the engineering to work. So it's literally impossible. Even I couldn't do it, right? Taking a video of, anyone I found online and then creating this clone of them who can then say anything crazy, right? You have to follow the process, and therefore the person who's being cloned has to be fully aware of what they're doing, right? Following that process. So we've set it up in that way very intentionally. But with that being said, outside of BHuman, sort of the space as a whole, right? There's definitely concerns around that, which we'd be happy to get into as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Don, as I was looking at your product, Persona in particular, the use cases, I said to you, this will make you a billionaire like 100 times over. So the applications as far as contact center operations, the chat box feature, the demonstration you showed me was me being able to interact with an interface with this artificial intelligence clone that was able to answer generalized questions based on the input that the owner of it had placed there. I could see that in the context of when you go online and you see the little chat here box at the bottom of a website window, and you click there to chat, and you've got to go through it, and it's these prompts send you in circles, I was having the exact experience like the day before you and I did our initial call, and I could see what you had created would have been the solution to what I and other people in my situation would have needed from that major manufacturer at that time. Instead of the little chat box, maybe at least be human, and put something I can actually engage with and interact with. What I saw had the potential to be a game changer, on the landscape of how we do business, how we interact, and you've made it clear like this thing we can program it to answer these questions that we would generally answer, basically our frequently asked questions.
Right.
And then turn you over to a human after you have gone through the lesser complex interactions that might get you to a solution before you actually need a human. I think it has a lot of potential there. It has a lot of potential. So can you tell us if you already have clients that are using this, what's their feedback about Persona? And if you've not, like just what your hopes are for how Persona is going to impact those that use it.
Yeah, for sure. So Persona is very new. We do have about 300 users using it right now who have it deployed and active. But it is very new, and we're always pushing out updates. So we haven't been pushing it too much, but we've seen a lot of really interesting things so far. So, in terms of use cases, so first, you're absolutely right. Customer support is a huge one, right? Instead of talking to a chatbot that can't seem to understand what you want and sends you in circles, talk to and just speak, don't type, just speak to someone there who is a face that can at least give you the right information, understand what you need, give you the information, or connect you with a human if need be. Beyond just customer support, a lot of really interesting use cases. So one that's very interesting is in education. So we have a very big marketing guru, sort of like Tony-esque level, Tony Robbins-esque level guru and coach who's using this to educate people on marketing and so what are the best practices in marketing. You can kind of pick his brain. So he's a coach, right? And instead of me spending, however much it would be for a very expensive coaching session with him, he basically opened up his persona so you can have this conversation with him and pick his brain about what he knows, acquired over, decades of his experience. So a lot of interesting education ones there. What for me, how I started it and what I think is going to sort of be the biggest use case is essentially for any knowledge worker, meaning a knowledge worker is, anyone who works online basically, right? Who essentially has to talk to people regularly for their business. So be it a marketing manager, be it a small business owner, be it a plumber, right? And if you want to basically have a chat and sort of get to know them, right? Because a lot of human communication, in fact, most of human communication is not just information. It's sort of the feel of someone, right? That's what we call it persona, because it's like the spirit, the essence of somebody that you are connecting with, right? And so that for us is what we try to basically capture and then sort of, represent at scale. So if I'm looking for, a plumber in the area and I go on someone's website and I can have a quick chat with that plumber, except right now he's not chatting with me. He's actually at a job site, right? But I'm getting that feel for him and I start to build trust and now I'm ready to move forward with him. So the use cases, kind of like our main product, although I think this is a bit more, clear in terms of the use cases. Um, Really, really limitless. I think, going into the future, I think everyone will have a persona, but whether it's persona, our persona, right, or sort of this concept down the road, right, as the space continues to develop, you will have a digital representation of yourself that can speak six languages, right, when you can only speak one. Can be able to answer and research complex questions that you don't have the time to, or you just simply don't know at that point, right? And can represent you so you can just focus on the interactions that are already sort of pre-vetted and pre-qualified by that digital clone. So that's where I see the space going. And then like just to comment on where I see it going perhaps even further down the road is, so you have the idea of a human and a persona interacting, right? The human getting information. And then what do you think about a persona and a persona interacting? So, V, before, we started chatting, if our two personas got together and had a chat and figured, okay, your persona decided this is a good fit for having Dawn on the show, and my persona decided this is good fit to go on the show, right? Then we have a match, right? And then we can move forward with that. Except humans only have so much time, so we only do that on a one by one level. But personas are completely scalable, right? These are all machines, so you can actually have 1,000 personas talking to each other within a couple of milliseconds, right? And essentially scale that way. So what you're doing is essentially connecting and networking in a way that never was before possible, just because of the limits of time.
It's absolutely amazing. And before we go, there might be members of our audience that have been victims of digital impersonation fraud. So in your area of expertise, knowing what you know, what are some tips that you would give them in a case like that?
So this is something that will happen more and more. And the sad reality is there's not a lot of recourse for this, right? My family actually, we were victim of this. Someone cloned my sister's voice and called us and said that she was being kidnapped, right? And, I knew, okay, this might be a voice clone, just being in the space, right? But a lot of people don't. And, the first thing to do is perhaps contact the platform that this digital impersonation is on. So if it's on YouTube, for example, right, that can be removed. There's recourse there. But really, it's mostly about education. This is kind of the Wild West, and there's really not a lot of ways to regulate this. Even technically speaking, you really can't do it because a lot of this stuff happens outside the US, in China, for example. And so really, it's about education, being aware, being smart, and just knowing what is possible today is the best way to protect yourself.
Absolutely. Education is key. Don, in our initial conversation, you stated that your entire goal was to personalize not only the artificial intelligence process, but that interaction in marketing where you're having to do something online via email, via social media. I want to say congratulations. You have absolutely done that. I want to thank you so much for being with us. You shared a huge amount of knowledge and you're contributing using artificial intelligence in an amazing way to our society and to our world. I want to say congratulations and kudos for that. It's so great to see somebody using this for light in life. Thank you so much for being with us, Don.
Thank you.
If you or someone you know has been a victim of a data breach, account compromise, deep fakes, or digital impersonation fraud, be sure to contact your local police department or the FBI at ic3.gov. Be sure to visit our sponsor, Vicar Group LLC, business consultants for Generation U, at vicargroup.com for cybersecurity awareness training and other resources to protect you, your family, your businesses, and the community. If you'd like to sponsor the show, be a guest on the show, or have show ideas, feel free to contact us at dtbwithv.com. I'd like to thank our crew today: Doug, Suzanne, Stephen, David, Stephen, Jen, and Zach. Thank you so much. We couldn't do the show without you. I'm your host, V. This is Down to Business with V. We'll see you next time.